Good morning or afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Colin F. Lynch. I'm going to be presenting work by my student, now Dr. Lin-Ting Shui, called Incorporating Task-Specific Features into Deep Models to Classify Argument Components. This is work conducted in the ARG lab at North Carolina State University, and it is focused on argumentation. So, to begin with, argumentation is an essential feature of many domains. An argument to learn activities in which students make arguments, defend arguments, evaluate arguments, are essential for learning. So STEM students must articulate and validate hypotheses. Students in policy domains have to take and defend positions. Students in writing or other creative domains must, of course, respond to criticism. To support students in these domains, we need to develop ways to analyze their written arguments, to provide feedback on the argument components, the argument structure. Argument is hard. Arguing is hard. It is hard for students to learn both domain material and ways to communicate it. And so tools and methods we can develop to support them in putting together and defending good arguments are tools that will have a profound impact on students' needs. And that's where this work is focused. Our goals in this work are to investigate new deep learning models for argument component classification that incorporate lightweight and domain general features and support improved methods for argument mining and grading. In brief, automated essay grading are systems that is designed to evaluate students' writing. They're designed to take in a sample of writing, grade it for readability or other features, and provide recorded grades, class grades, or feedback that can support students down the road. Existing systems tend to focus on detecting key components such as the presence or absence of a hypothesis statement, or they tend to rely on Gestalt approaches that evaluate features such as readability, text complexity, and grammar. In general, they omit semantic and argument structures, which are, of course, important for supporting students in reasoning domains. Argument mining is the automatic extraction of argument structures from text. In general, this breaks down to three distinct subtasks. The first is argument component identification, that is finding the pieces of argument. So a statement such as, this work should receive the best paper award. We have to recognize that that is in fact a component of an argument. We then have to recognize what type that is. We have to conduct argument component classification and state that that is in fact the primary claim. And then finally, once we've identified the components of argument in text, we have to identify the relationships between them. Recognize that a statement such as, because I say so, is in fact providing support to the original statement. All right? Approaches to argument component classification, in general, these things have been treated independently. Most prior research has treated these tasks independently and can develop different models for each of them. Since we're focused on ACC today, I'm going to talk about just the ACC approaches. Most approaches to argument component classification fall into one of two categories. They're either using very heavy feature engineering, that is a large number of often domain-specific hand-tooled rules which are used to recognize argument components and classify them, or they use deep models that rely on pre-trained embeddings and large amounts of data to classify individual components. Notable exceptions to this rule, however, is the work of Lugini and Littman, which incorporated some basic domain and some somewhat domain-specific features into an LSTM system, standard LSTM for classification, and Stab and Gurevich, who use domain general features with support vector machines to classify the arguments. The approach we take here is as follows. Our goal is to incorporate lightweight and domain-independent features, that is, linguistic and statement structures that are separate from the specific topic of the argument, into deep learning models for the purposes of argument component classification. We're then going to compare these deep learning models with features to some baseline models based on SVM using the work of Stab and Gurevich that I described above. The data set we use for this was collected originally by Stab and Gurevich. It consists of 402 essays from the online community essay forum. This is an open forum that is used primarily by students to post essays, critique them, get writing advice and feedback. The essays selected are ones that were authored by students who were generally practicing for written exams such as a TOEFL or a written GRE. The essays were then annotated with three components: major claims, claims, and premises. Major claims indicating, of course, the author's standpoint on the topic of the essay. Claim, which recognizes which would be a subsidiary claim that supports or attacks the major claim itself. And the premise, the basic reasons or sometimes termed warrants of the argument which support or attack the claim. It's essentially the foundation on which everything is built. The data set, which they defined, was split into a static train and development set and a test set. The train development set had 598 major claims, 1,202 claims, 3,023 premises. The test set had 153, 304, and 809 respectively. For the purposes of comparison, we continue to use this exact breakdown of the data set so that we can compare our results to their published work. To give you an idea of what we're dealing with, here's a sample essay. Museums and art galleries will disappear soon, ? The essay itself is relatively short, relatively concise, but it focuses on taking and defending a basic position that museums and galleries will not disappear, which is stated here in the major claim, and stated again in a second restatement of the major claim or conclusion statement. The claims themselves are here highlighted in blue, and the basic premises in green. As you can see, not all of the essay consists of argument components. Some components are notably separated by linking verbs such as because, or statements such as however, prefixes, which we consider as information for our analysis. And what's not shown is the structural relationship between these that would let you see that, say, P1 would support C1, which in turn supports MC1, right? Since our goal is simply classification, we are going to be dealing with it at the level shown at the highlights. Now, our models will be based on long short-term memory networks, which is a type of recurrent neural network. I don't have time to go into the full theory, but in brief, an LSTM unit, which is shown here, is a function that takes as input a hidden state from a parent cell, a cell state, an individual token representing a current word or letter, and then outputs a new cell state and a new hidden state. The cell state and hidden state collectively represent information that is carried along a sequence as we do our analysis, and also represents essentially the working hypothesis. If our goal is to, say, classify a sentence, we would propagate through it, and let's take this one, museums and art galleries, passing each of these tokens into an LSTM and carrying forward the hidden cell state from the prior sequences. As I said, I don't have time to go into all the details, but look in the paper for a more thorough description. What we also use here are DAG LSTMs, sometimes known as lattice models. A DAG LSTM generalizes the prior LSTM model by allowing the cell to now take input of multiple cell states and multiple hidden states from more than one parent. In a standard LSTM, there can be only one parent or preceding cell, and all input has to come from that. What we do here is take a set of cell states and hidden states, combine them with usually a softmax function or some other comparison function, merge them into a single cell or hidden state pair, and then carry out our propagation as normal. Why this matters is it allows us to define structures like this for our sequence. We can take a sentence which has the beginning, and then from this point of view, comma, I firmly believe that we, N, and then we can use LSTM units for each token in the statement and for discourse markers or location markers, which carry information forward and which combine it at key locations, right? So the point of a DAG LSTM is it allows you to represent and carry forward sequences of different length and sequence information of different length. Now, the features we use in our data set are position indicators, indicating whether a sentence is first or last in the paragraph or in the first or last paragraph, and discourse indicators, forward indicators, therefore, because, which points to prior statements, thesis indicators, rebuttals, and so on. These are the 5 types. These constitute the features that we incorporated into our models. We developed 3 types of models for this work: support vector machines, bidirectional standard LSTMs, and DAG LSTMs. And we then trained 4 variations: no features, position and discourse features, position alone, or discourse alone. So let me talk about our results. So when we evaluated our features, we trained standard set of SVMs with all the features, position, and discourse. We also trained SVMs, a basic SVM, not, now note, the prior published work of Stab et al., they used a multi-class SVM. So we did a multi-class version and a single class version. These constitute our baselines. We also developed a basic LSTM model with no features, and then LSTMs with both position and discourse alone, and the DAG LSTMs. Now, first and foremost, we should note that the multi-classifier SVM with all features did better at classifying the major claims than other models. However, for claims and premises, a standard LSTM with the position features alone did better than LSTMs with both position and discourse, or any of the other types of models. And in fact, if we compare by macro F1 score, that is the performance over all the classifications, we see that the LSTMs with positions outperform the other models. It's interesting to note, however, LSTMs with just the discourse models performed quite poorly. However, the DAG LSTM with the discourse models alone perform much better. This suggests that the DAG LSTM is making better use of those discourse features than the standard LSTMs. We also conducted a comparison where we actually grouped our discourse features by class instead of using individual features, because therefore we grouped them into the 5 major categories I described above. And then, as you see, what we have are much better performance for the POS-DIS LSTMs and for the discourse markers. So it improved performance across the board, in particular for the DAG LSTMs. This suggests that the specific features are not necessarily as helpful as the general categories. So in conclusion, deep learning models for ACC can benefit from lightweight features. Bidirectional LSTMs make better use of position information than other models. The DAG models make better use of the semantics, but their effect is limited by the dataset. Thus, this approach can be used to support essay evaluation, and it will support our future work on end-to-end models for argument mining. Tanimir.